Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank each of you for being here. And your stories are extremely moving, and our hearts go out to you. I spoke yesterday with the Sheriff of Gwinnett County, which is the second most, is number 2 in terms of criminal aliens being dropped off, second only to Harris County, Texas. And he heads law enforcement, of course, in the county. In fact, he informed me that, as I just mentioned, that it's number 2. Chief Martin, as a 40-year veteran of law enforcement, I'm hoping you might be able to shed some light on some of the questions from your own experience, your knowledge. When an illegal alien is released, are you notified?
No, sir.
By anyone?
We are not notified by anyone.
Okay, so we heard testimony this morning that ICE notifies the states of all those who are released, and then that information filters down. And you're saying that that is not the case?
We do not receive any direct communication from ICE. The only way we would know if somebody was released is if, what they talked about earlier, the victim would be notified, and if they filled out a form, then the local sheriff's department is supposed to notify us if they're released so that we can talk to the victim.
Okay, so the law enforcement notification system, is it working?
No, sir.
What is it doing? If it's not working, what is the value, if any?
Well, I have to take you back years ago when INS or ICE used to have their agents in all the county jails. I think by reason, I'd like to preface my remarks by saying that most municipal police departments don't hold their prisoners at the police departments. They book them into the county jails, so the sheriffs would have the authority to keep them. Now, Santa Maria, we arrested 6,000 people last year, and we would keep them, we would book them into our custody, and then within about 6 to 8 hours, we would transfer them to the sheriff's department. And what we do at that point is we do fill out a pretrial service, and about 3/4 at the bottom of the page, it says, does the police officer request an immigration review? And in the case of Victor Martinez, we checked yes. So that's about the only time that we have the ability to communicate with ICE to have a review done. Now that the ICE does not have officers in the county jails full-time, they just show up in the morning, they'll look at the scrolls or the gate book, if you will. But that really doesn't serve any purpose because many times they'll bail out the night before. So it's not working.
Is it true that when a criminal alien is released from prison on parole, that officers, local law enforcement, have to be assigned to check on them?
No, we're not assigned to check on them at all. In fact, when they're released from either the county jail or, say, a state prison, they're taken by ICE to a processing center and then down to Los Angeles where they're supposed to be released. They never release them from the prisons. They always do it down in Los Angeles.
So how does the parole work? I mean, does the state assign someone to watch over them?
Well, pretty much the state of California has gotten rid of almost all of their parole. It's all become localized for the probation department, which is really not equipped to deal with it. So the state has gotten rid of their funding for parole and pushed it down to the local level.
But you're saying local level is not handling it?
No, we're not being notified of any of it.
So what's happening to these people? There's no parole, no accountability, no, they're not watched at all?
I think if they're watched, it's in our county, in Santa Barbara County, it'd be by the local probation department.
Okay, so how do they get involved? Who is, at what point, in other words, when these people are released and put on parole, who's looking after them, and how's that process work?
It would just be a county probation officer who's assigned the case, and he may or she may see them once a month or maybe never.
Okay, well then, who is paying for it? The local parole officers getting, who's paying?
Yeah, Congressman, in the county, it's actually the probation department's county probation.
So the taxpayers are paying this.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have ICE that's responsible for releasing these people that should be deported, but in many cases, no one's looking out for them. But when there are cases that are a parole officer, in other words, your local county is having to pick up the tab for the lack of work being done by ICE. Is that a fair assessment?
That would be a fair assessment. And not only that, we're having to pay for all of the investigations that result of us arresting these people. And the local district attorney's office is also having to pay to prosecute. And then once they're found guilty, they have to go to a state prison if it's a state crime. So either the local, the county, or the state is paying for all of that.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate this, but I'm shocked we have a conflict in testimony from what we heard earlier from Ms. Saldana saying that all the states are being notified and it's filtering down, and that obviously is not taking place, at least in your case. And I think this needs some further research and investigation. Thank you. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. We'll recognize the gentleman from